What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and share. Alright, y'all, we got ourselves an interesting topic today. Now, I came across this article a few days ago, and I said, look, I gotta talk about it, y'all. I gotta talk about it. So the article reads, DoorDash Instacart execs lose billionaire status as light demand wipes 15 billion from fortunes. 15 billion. Whew. Let's go ahead and dive in, okay? Let's dive in. So for the most part, the article is just stating that, yeah, these folks that were in these food delivery services, the ones that became billionaires, some of them, they ain't billionaires no more. They measly millionaires. Measly millionaires, all right? And I'm not gonna try to poke fun of it too much. I mean, you know, if I had 1 million to my name, I'd be cool. I'd be straight. I'm just saying. But, you know, let's dive into the numbers, okay? Let's dive into the numbers. The biggest losers include Nazim Salor, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, the chief of Istanbul-based Jatir. I've honestly never heard of this app, but their net worth has fallen a staggering 4.29 billion between a March 2022 peak of 5 billion. And he is left with 775 million, okay? Now, DoorDash's CEO and Tang, the company's chief product officer, have seen $2 billion wiped out from each of their fortunes. 2 billion. Now, Instacart CEO and founder, he had a net worth of $3.58 billion in March of 2021, and his wealth dropped a whopping 2.7 billion since, leaving him with an 863 million fortune. A chief executive of a Dutch food ordering company called Just Eat Takeaway. Never heard of it myself. But they lost 1.69 billion since his October 2020 peak of 1.97 billion. His net worth now sits at 274 million. And of course, they stated that the representatives for DoorDash, Instacart, and some of the other companies, they did not respond to the New York Post's request for comment. Whoo, boy, I'm telling you. Let me just put this up real quick. Let's talk real quick. Whoo, it must be something going from billionaire status to just a millionaire, man. And like I said, I'm not here to poke fun of, you know, the loss of money. You know, loss of money is loss of money, no matter how big it is, okay? But like I said, I'm just saying, if I had $1 million in my bank account right now, I would be so much better off, right? A lot of us would be, right? No, but in all seriousness, it was kind of funny how they were using some of their terminology to, you know, notate that, hey, they went from billionaire status down to this, like 200 some million. You just struggling, apparently, I guess. Seeing these numbers, you know, we got to start thinking about what does this mean for the future of food delivery. And, you know, obviously these changes aren't going to come overnight. We're probably not going to start feeling it until, you know, a couple years down the line, depending on what changes they decide to make. Because right now, in their eyes, they're probably trying to recoup that money, right? They may not be able to get to that same level that they were at their peak, but to them going from billionaire to millionaire, they got to figure something out, right? And they got to figure out how to cut expenses, how to bring in more profits, you know, all of that stuff, right? But before I go ahead and get into, you know, the future and what could this mean, let's take a step back and kind of dive in to see what could have gone wrong, right? Now, I think most of us can be in agreement with this statement that a lot of these delivery apps, a lot of them made a majority of their money back in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, okay? Everybody was staying in, they didn't want to risk getting sick, so people utilized those apps like crazy, because I know I did for sure. So they were racking in crazy numbers back in 2020 going into 2021, right? And they probably thought that they could keep that same momentum for a while, right? And, you know, they kind of did because, you know, media, of course, they like to scare folks. They always were talking about how cases were rising. People got to stay in, you know, wear your mask and all of this stuff, right? And for a while, there were a lot of people that were still utilizing these delivery apps, right? But as restrictions started to lift, people got more comfortable. people, they decided, hey, you know, and instead of ordering in, let's just go out, right? And not to say that everything is back to 100%, you know, how it was before, but a lot of people have abandoned the idea that they need to rely on food delivery services, right? They would much rather just go out now. Right? So the decline of users from the height of the pandemic to now, I don't know what the percentage is, but I can only guess that it's a drastic drop, right? And on top of that, you got to keep in mind that inflation, oh boy, people just don't want to go ahead and spend money on extra stuff that they don't need. And like I mentioned before, food delivery, these delivery services is not necessary for our survival, right? So that's something that a lot of people decided to cut back on because they're like, yo, everything is going up. You know, gas prices is up, food prices is up, everything up. I need to save some money. So guess what? We canceling Netflix and we canceling our Dash Pass or our Grubhub Plus or whatever, right? We're not doing food delivery no more. And if we do it, maybe we do it once or twice a week, right? So that's probably the mindset of a lot of people, right? Prices are just too high, right? The food delivery service itself is too high, right? So people are like, I ain't about to go ahead and spend an extra $20-$30 on a sandwich that I can go pick up for like $10, right? That's probably where their decline started, and it's pretty much just been a downhill spiral from there, right? And one might argue that maybe they got a little cocky and they were putting so much money into, you know, whatever they're doing on the back end, spend, and as things started to decline, who knows if they adjusted? We don't know. But clearly something went wrong for people to lose $15 billion collectively, okay? Now, to move into what does this mean for the future, right? Some folks might say, oh my God, well, it looks like this is the end of food delivery. You know, DoorDash is gonna go out of business, Uber is gonna go out of business. And, you know, I would say that's a reach, and not to say that it won't happen, but it's definitely not happening anytime soon, okay? The way I see it, there's always gonna be a demand for these delivery services, okay? Because, you know, their convenience. And even if we did just completely get rid of these third-party delivery apps, things might just go back to the way that they were before, and the restaurants, they'll just go ahead and start hiring delivery drivers, right? You know, food delivery, it ain't going away. It's not gonna go away. And like I said, even if DoorDash goes belly up or Uber Eats goes belly up, Grubhub, all of them, there might still be a chance for another platform to come into the picture and do things better than these previous apps did, right? Now, for DoorDash specifically, it seems like they're trying to turn things around. So apparently they're testing this pilot program. It's called Dine Out. And this program gives incentives for customers to dine out, right? And I don't know all of the specifics behind it. The article that I did find, it was kind of vague, but they did say if you're checking in at certain restaurants, you get credits to use on the DoorDash platform, but I don't think they've released all of the details behind it, right? But it sounds like it's another way to try to get more people back on the platform, right? And, you know, it's all about making profits at this point. So they already got the food delivery. That's what they started with, right? Then we started to get into the convenience stores and then the grocery shopping, you know, all of this stuff. They're tapping into each little market, trying to see what type of profit they can pull out. And at this point, I don't know if you want to call it desperation. You know, they're just trying to stay afloat, it seems. And like I said, this isn't just a DoorDash problem. You know, this is across the board because a lot of people are abandoning these apps. Like I said, the main thing is the fact that they cost too much to use, and the service that you get from it, it's meh at best, because you already got drivers that are upset with the company because they're not getting paid enough. And then you got customers that go ahead and try to finesse and get free food. And, you know, at the end of the day, besides it hurting the company because, yeah, they're losing out on money, it's hurting the drivers too. For drivers, you know, we're thinking like, you know, dealing with all of that, is it really worth to still do food delivery? Like, you guys know my stance on food delivery. It's not my favorite, okay? You know, I don't want to be driving all over the place for pennies on the dollar, all right? And I know I can cherry pick, I can be strategic and all of that, but I would much rather do an app where I'm guaranteed a decent payout for the mileage that I'm driving than sit around in my car by a busy restaurant and hope that they give me a decent order. But like I said, that's just me, all right? I know you can make plenty of money in that game, but it's just not for me. It's really not for me. But just reading this article and seeing that they've lost so much money over these past couple years, it really makes me doubt that they're gonna change anything as far as to pay for their drivers, because at this point they're just trying to penny pinch as much as they can. They can't afford to pay drivers more. They literally can't. And you know, like I said, what does this mean for the future of these apps? I don't know. I still think that food delivery is gonna be a thing regardless of whether DoorDash is around, whether Grubhub is around, Uber Eats, all of these apps. I would say they had a pretty good run. You know, these apps have been around for what, roughly 10 years or so. And you know, if there's another app that pops up that becomes popular and starts to overshadow these guys, you know, I'm all for it, especially if they have a better business model as far as making sure that their drivers are paid and they're keeping the cost low for the customer. Like, obviously we don't know what goes on the back end, right? But math is math, right? 1 + 1 = 2, right? So if you keep your customers happy, in the sense that you're keeping costs low, they're going to keep coming back to your platform. And if the drivers are happy, knowing that they're going to be compensated for the work that they're doing, they're going to keep utilizing that platform to go ahead and get those deliveries to those customers, right? It's a really simple equation, right? And like I said, I know it's a bunch of other stuff that happens on the back end, and there's a lot of different variables that can influence how much they need to charge the customers, how much they got to pay the drivers, you know, all of that. I know it's not that easy, okay? But if you are able to take the time and come up with a good business model, it should work out. Now, do I own a business? Well, I guess you can say Toya Drives is a business, right? But other than that, no, right? But the thing is that a lot of these businesses fail to understand is they just don't listen to their workers, right? They don't listen to the workers, they don't listen to the customers. The people at the top, a lot of times they don't even know what's going on, right? They just looking at charts and numbers and all of that stuff, right? If you were to go ahead and put one of them in their employees' shoes, they wouldn't know a single thing about what's going on, how to operate stuff. They just know the business perspective, right? But that's the issue. Like I said, a lot of these folks, they're disconnected with the people. And because of that disconnect, they make a lot of irrational decisions that may look good on paper, but how it's executed is a completely different story. So, but that's the thing. A lot of these businesses, a lot of these corporations, they just need to take a step back and actually listen. Just listen for a change. And a lot of your problems might be solved by just taking advice from the people who actually do the work, the people who actually purchase your product. They can give you suggestions, you know, all those things, right? And, you know, don't let the money get to your head. Don't become so full of yourself. You know, well, I make 9 figures, I make 10 figures. So, you know, what I say goes or whatever. Clearly, I know how to run the company because I made all this money, blah, 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 blah. You know, what you did 10 years ago, that may not be relevant to today. You know, what worked then may not work now. And what's working now might not work 5 years down the line. You never know. Yeah, that's really all I can say. We're gonna have to see what happens because, you know, like I said before, do I think that this is the end of food delivery? Nah. People are still always going to order food, right? People are always going to want that convenience to have stuff delivered directly to their doorstep. But it's going to be a matter of who's going to step up and do it the right way. But what do you guys think? What do you think these folks should do to save their businesses? And if they can't, what do you think the food delivery scene is going to look like in the future? Let me know in the comments. But I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.